Hey, good evening, everybody. This is Andy here, aka Montolio, and we are in a vintage daily event, and it is January the 16th, 2015. And our first round opponent is buckburn82. So unfortunately, this is a really bad hand. We're not going to be able to keep that. Looks like opponent keeps, and yep, it's pretty reasonable. We don't have any threats at the moment, but we certainly have some spheres. Unfortunately, we lost the die roll here, and hopefully we don't see a turn 1 Delver. Hopefully this is just a cantrip. Okay, so that's good news for us, guys. Hopefully we don't get hit with a force of will. I beg your pardon. Okay, unfortunately he's got a piece of power here. And a mana vault, wow. Yikes. Sadly, I think we're just going to have to strip mine him here. My hope is to be able to keep him off something like a Tezzeret. I don't think spheres really do much for us here. Hopefully we just don't get tinkered outright, and we'll be in much better shape for it. But a little bit of an awkward play. Seeing the mana vault was a bit of a surprise for me there. What we would love to do is draw into something like a lodestone golem. Okay, good. He doesn't have any colored blue mana. The bad news for us is that unfortunately we don't have a threat here. I was going to say, if my opponent's going to counter that, I sure would be thrilled. Okay, so let's try and get out our sphere here. Unfortunately, our spheres have very little value here, but he's going to basically get one turn with the mana vault, and hopefully by that time... Oh, interesting. Interesting. Okay. Why would he do that? I'm a little bit confused. Hopefully it just keeps missing on mana here. Oh dear. Okay. Okay, we're not doing very well here, but neither is he. We just have to hope that we can draw a threat here before our opponent does. Oh wow, we are what you call El Flutterbruno. 10 mana in turn 4. Pretty scary. Come on. 4 workshops, guys. Can't say I've ever had 4 workshops on turn 5. But we sure can cast anything we draw. Unfortunately, I think it's going to be very hard for us to win this match. Our opponent has 5 cards in hand. He's obviously struggling on land here. And then there's the second one there. And I suspect we'll see a Jace or a Tezzeret here, would be my guess. Interesting. Okay, we're gonna very loath to play this here, but I think I'm just gonna stick it on his mana vault. I mean, if we see a Tezzeret here or something, then we're in trouble, but I think we've just got to try and mitigate the damage as much as possible. We're just flooding out. I mean, we're not even drawing any spheres or tangle wires or anything of that nature. We're just literally drawing land. Not even wastelands, unfortunately. So time walk, that's fine. Once again, I apologize. Okay, Sensitive to Winding Top. That's a scary card. At least this time we drew a land that can do some damage. Absolutely not what we're looking for, but I suspect this is about to go downhill very quickly. The only good news here is if our opponent plays something like a Tezzeret or a Jace, we are going to be able to attack into it. Very peculiar game. It's rare. I can't ever say in all my years of playing with workshops I've ever had 4 on the table. Wow. Insane. I don't see a reason not to play it. I'm not going to play my Cavernous Souls, of course, because I want to see what it is that whatever creature I draw, I will try and force it through if it's a threat. Like, how nice would a Sundering Titan here be, or a Forge Master would be really good. Our opponent's still digging. He hasn't done anything in this game at all. $16, $17, $18 man on the table for me. I'm short for words. When I was playing in the Winter Festival Championships, in top 8, I was playing against Ephraim, and I was in a very similar situation to this in game 1, where I just was drawing absolute bricks. Just had a couple creatures on the table, and he just had all this mana, and it seemed like he had the world at his fingertips, but he never did anything. And I ended up winning that first game where I had no business winning it. So let's hope that this is the case again here. The bad news is that he ended up doing the same thing to me the next game, where he had no business winning at all under a turn 1 Trinisphere and several turns without being able to play a land, and was able to attrition me out because I drew just like this, all land. So here comes something. My opponent is doing something. Just flash 2 life there. Interesting. Could he be storming me out here? I see no reason to pay life like that otherwise. And we're getting to the stage where my opponent has to do something. Well, that's a card I'm very happy to see. I will not lie to you. Hopefully we don't get Hercules recalled here. Okay. Be nice if we tried to force a will this. So what we want to avoid here is a Hercules recall, or a rebuild. And of course the Vault Key combo here next turn. We can beat a Blight Steel or... Okay. Let's see what he's got. Still at 20 life here, so it won't be easy to kill me. But if he does have a Yawgmoth's Will, he'd have enough to get there likely. But he is underneath 2 spheres here, so... Okay, so here comes the storm. Hopefully he doesn't have a Tolarian Academy. That would be pretty lousy. So he's tapping to do something. So there's the Yawgmoth's Will. What's his storm count at here? 1, 2, 3 mana. Down to 1 life, okay. So he's going to time walk, presumably. Yeah, you see, he's underneath spheres here. He doesn't realize that he's underneath spheres. Can't even time walk. Excuse me. That's just not going to get it done, guys. I think our opponent might be new to Vintage here. I've never seen Blackburn before. Yeah. I will definitely take that. We had 0 business winning that game. I could see this very well being a Tinker deck. I am going to bring my duplicant back in. Crucible, probably not necessary. Yeah. I think this is just fine. I mean, the Chalice of the Void is obviously not nearly as good on the play, but we just saw him, what I suspect him trying to storm out, not paying attention to my spheres, so I'm going to keep the 4 Chalices in case he hoards his, with his inexperience, holding his Moxen and Black Lotus in hand, instead of playing them out to avoid my spheres or Chalices. What a peculiar game that one was, though. Okay. I didn't see a threat from him that was pressuring my life total, so I am going to keep this. I think it's a little bit awkward because, of course, having 2 Ancient Tombs can add up very quickly. Okay, that's a nice card for him. Turn 1 Lodestone Golem is pretty awesome if I can get there. This at least keeps him off Library Alexandra if he counters it. And he does. Which is obviously not phenomenal, but it's not bad either. Oh, my opponent trying to draw a card there. And I'd be very happy to be able to keep him off this Library Alexander, even if he force of wills my lodestone here. It's just fine. And we'll hold the Forge Master here to, yeah, my opponent is definitely trying to build up for a Library Alexandra. There's some merit to playing a sphere there as well, trying to keep him off playing power that he might draw off the library. We would love to draw a Wasteland or a Strip Mine here. Okay, that's pretty good. Land would be good. Revoker is definitely not ideal here. I'm going to play the Sphere here, and hopefully he plays down a piece of power next turn, and we can get the Revoker on it with our current mana situation. And hopefully we draw into a mana, like a Sol mana. Okay, why would my opponent do that? I guess he can cast a piece of power if he gets it, but he didn't get there. Can't quite do the metamorph here, but which is unfortunate. But we'll play out the Revoker and we'll try and pressure him. Fortunately, we don't have a target, but we're just going to choose Black Lotus because Black Lotus is definitely the worst card for us, and we don't run it in our deck. Okay, and let's just hope we draw a land here next turn, guys. That would be awesome. What we're looking for next turn the best case scenario would be a land. And if we don't find a land, we would like to find another sphere would be fine. Another Revoker, something we can cast. So my opponent now has the ability to actually kill with a lightning bolt. If they choose. My opponent is choosing to draw. Still cannot cast a spell. And he's dead next turn. So if he didn't draw a piece of power here, by him using that fetch, he put himself within lethal. And he currently cannot cast something over our two spheres, or at least a non-artifact spell. Yeah. I would say, guys, that was a really lucky match for us there, and I think that was chalked up with no disrespect to my opponent, but the fact that he's inexperienced with Vintage, we will take it.